So those of you, thank you for joining us here. Our first quarterfinal match of the Cincinnati Open. This is the first Open since Hour of Devastation has been released. It's going to be Syed versus Johnathan Job. Both players relying heavily on cards from Hour of Devastation. For Syed, it was the Champion of Wits, 4 of blue creature, to help fuel his Emerge deck, put Kozilek's Returns in the yard, emerge from Elder Deep Fiends. For Johnathan Job, Earthshaker Kenras, and then the addition of red and colorless lands in Ramanap Ruins that put this red Eldrazi deck into play. By virtue of being the 4 seed, Zan will get to be on the play as we start out. Evolving Wilds finds Mountain, and this is actually, we were looking at his land counts. This is big.
Right, this is the one of very slim ways to cast Kozilek's Return for 3 mana, and a sigh of relief on that front as well. Job with no 1-drop.
Yeah, both things in Zan's favor. Zan draws Grimflayer, shows it. I always like it when your deck cracks Evolving Wilds for Mountain and then draws Grimflayer. It's
perfect. Just how he drew it up. He also has Basic Island in his hand.
Hey, as long as Johnathan doesn't present threats, this will be fine. Yeah, Zan priced, though, into getting the Mountain. 1 Mountain and 4 Evolving Wilds are his only red sources. If he wants to cast Kozilek's Return on the front side, he has to use that Wilds to get the card. For Job, we'll see Earthshaker Kenra, a card from Hour of Devastation. It's going to swing in for 2 and put Zan to 18. This card has looked good all the tournament long.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by this card. We haven't seen it eternalized too often, but that potential is there. Just as the front side, it's been really impressive just as a 2-1 haste, and there's an upside to staple on as well.
So, see the Kenra swinging in for 2 there. Zan is going to grapple with the past. It sets up his own graveyard. He finds a Haunted Dead to go in the graveyard. He's going to get a Champion of Wits into his hand. This is another Hour of Devastation card, and it's really what we think has pushed the Emerge deck from, I think, a Tier 2 option to what looks like a Tier 1 option.
Yeah, Champion of the Wits had a lot of hype going into the weekend, and it delivered, at least got Zan into the top 8. Adds a lot of consistency to these decks, and is a 3-mana creature that allows you to curve 3 into 4 for Elder Deep Fiend.
And Zan's mana, look at this lining up. He has the Basic Island as well. It's strange, right? Grimflayer, Basic Island, Basic Mountain. This deck is wild, but it's working out this game. He could use, and he's got some choices, right? Could use the Champion of Wits to dump Kozilek's Return into the graveyard. He also could just cast the 3-mana spell.
Could also just activate Haunted Dead from the graveyard. Looks like there's 1 Prized Amalgam in his hand.
Let me go with the 4th option. He's going to cast Grimflayer. We look at the graveyard, though. Land, instant, creature, enchantment. This is a 4/4 Grimflayer.
Yeah, that's shaping up quite nicely. Kenras won't be able to make that unable to block, though if Job has an on-crop Crasher, he could find a way to smash in for a relevant amount of damage on this turn. But his removal spells are blanked here. He's got Magma Spray and Incendiary Flow in his main deck. Won't have enough mana for Chandra Torch of Defiance on this turn, so very likely that Job will just be hanging tight for now. And buying time in the early game is really the most important goal for Zan in this matchup.
Yeah, well, what I like about the Emerge decks is of all the decks we have in Standard, once it gets to its power part of the game, it's one of the strongest decks, if not just the strongest deck.
Yeah. You're seeing a lot of extra cards with your Vessel of Nascencies, Grapple with the Past, Champion of Wits, 4 Elder Deep Fiends in the deck, 4 Traverse the Elven Vaults.
That's the big one. Once you start chaining Deep Fiends, I mean, every turn you're tapping out your opponent and sweeping the board. It's really hard to beat. From Job, he'll swing Earthshaker Kenra. And this is an interesting attack. Remember, that flare is a 4/4.
Looking to 2-for-1 himself with a removal spell.
Yeah, and Zan actually passes, takes 2 damage. What was the spell he's representing here? Magma Spray?
Yeah, Magma Spray or Incendiary Flow. He's not representing anything that's going to generate value for him.
I'm sure the Zan just didn't accept, get your guy, get some mana for a spell this turn, sure.
Yeah, no blocks there. Rather curious, especially because he already has Champion of the Wits and Haunted Dead in his graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, it suggests that Zan's trying to race back or needs to set up something with this Grimflayer. He actually wants that trigger to connect.
It does help him filter his draws. Connecting with Grimflayer is quite powerful.
Yeah, I mean, the card's really good. Now we'll see Job. Magma Spray Flare once and Incendiary Flow it. Wow, a big expenditure to get rid of that Flare.
Well, once your opponent doesn't block with Flare, you get the feeling that it's worth a lot.
Yeah, but and he gave it a lot. So you go back over to Zan. Draws Botanical Sanctum. Some good stuff in his hand too. Prized Amalgam to go with that Haunted Dead in the graveyard. Third land here. Just going to cast Champion of Wits. And this is a nice one here from Hour of Devastation. Draw 2. Well, draw cards equal to its power, then discard 2. It's 2 on the first time. When you eternalize it, it's much nicer. Even so, draws a second Kozilek's Return.
Zan picked up Botanical Sanctum as his draw. He went for this. He did have the option instead to just activate Haunted Dead during Job's combat step if he attacked with the Kendra. Get a Spirit Token there, discard Prized Amalgam, get it back at the end step. He's trying to set up something bigger here.
Discarding Amalgam and Kozilek's Return, cast Vessel of Nascency. This deck looks great this game. The one thing you always have to watch out about with, though, from Emerge, it has a lot of synergy in the graveyard, but it actually has little to no card advantage. Every time Zan uses Haunted Dead to discard 2 to bring it back, he is going down a card in his hand. At a certain point, he may need to stop making land drops.
Right. Though he is going to want to get that Sanctum onto the battlefield, the Botanical Sanctum, because that would be the second blue source for Elder Deep Fiend. Very likely a big part of his game plan going long.
Yeah, the second blue isn't optional in this deck. You're right. He does need it. You don't see this deck win without Elder Deep Fiend much, if ever.
Right. This isn't the matchup where you can expect to eternalize a lot of Champion of Wits, though there are going to be matchups and games where you want to get to 7 mana.
Well, that's, I think, one of the interesting pulls of this card. I mentioned that card advantage issue in Emerge strategies. A lot of times a good Emerge player will stop playing lands at 5.
Yep.
Because they need to discard them. So Champion of Wits pulls you in the other direction, where it actually wants you to play more lands. Because once you get to 7, then you just get to start drawing cards.
It's going to be a really high context thing, and that's really generally true of these Emerge decks. You really have to read what's happening in the game.
And Job, Chandra Torch of Defiance, pluses it for mana, casts another Incendiary Flow from his hand, and remember, when Incendiary Flow kills a creature, it exiles the creature. So Champion of Wits gone, not to be eternalized. Zan down to 14.
And that's an aggressive Incendiary Flow. You can already see Zan has Haunted Dead and Prized Amalgam in his graveyard.
Yeah, another Amalgam, the draw for Zan. This is interesting. He could just even cast Haunted Dead. I guess Zan needs to pressure the Planeswalker at this point.
You don't want Job to get a Chandra emblem, that is for sure.
Yeah, but a lot to like. That Vessel of Nascency in play for Zan, as you see, he passes. At instant speed, he can crack Vessel. He can bring back a Haunted Dead.
Yep.
He has another Amalgam in hand. It looks like he's not doing anything with this turn, but he may be doing a lot.
Yes. Prized Amalgam, really the most important card, or certainly one of the most important cards in these Emerge strategies. Just being able to get them back with the Haunted Dead is so much value.
Sun-Scorched Desert from Job. Zan down to 13. Chandra up to 6, exiles the top card. It's another Earthshaker Kenra. Johnathan will probably take that one. 1 card in hand. He's thinking about not casting it. You think you might have one of those 5-drops? Yeah, he's dealing 2.
Yeah, it's worth kind of 2 damage one way or the other. The Kenra won't be able to break through Prized Amalgams.
Thought not see it from Job. I was going to say it's got to be one of his 5s if he's, or 4s if he's not going to just cast his free card.
Yep.
And here is Kenra. Or sorry, his Thought Not. Zan, does he want to respond? His hand is Kozilek's Return, 2nd Prized Amalgam, and I believe 2nd Haunted Dead.
There's not a huge incentive to respond here.
Well, you might want to get the 2nd Amalgam in the yard. I wouldn't want that to be exiled.
That's true.
Yeah, just discard both cards. Make him. I think if Zan discards everything except for Haunted Dead.
No, you're right. Yeah,
I
blanked on the Amalgam being in hand. It's just correct to discard that. You don't care. That's a spell you just want to get in your graveyard.
Yeah, you don't want it exiled. So yeah, the 2nd Return and the 2nd Amalgam discarded to Haunted Dead. Enters the battlefield. 1/1 White Spirit. Thought-Not Seer will take the Haunted Dead out of Zan's hand, so Zan left empty-handed.
Don't really need 2 copies of that one.
No, you're right. And that coming out of the graveyard will trigger both Prized Amalgams.
still will be able to activate the Vessel of Nascency before the turn's over. So at the end of the turn, with Haunted Dead, Spirit, 2 prized amalgams, that's 9 power right there. Not able to apply any pressure, really wants to find an Elder Deep Fiend here that would clean up Job's board, allow him to get rid of that Chandra.
And here it is, Elder Deep Fiend, 2 copies actually. Found off that Vessel. Gladly take one of those. Looking at that blue card, Strategic Planning. That's a 2 of in Zan's deck.
Portal 3 Kingdoms reprint. Make its way into
Yeah,
standard for the first time.
You don't get that very often. And end step, both amalgams come back. So, and this is where this deck is so good. Elder Deep Fiend plus Kozilek's Return, hard to beat.
It's a huge tempo swing, that is for sure.
Go back to Syed's turn now. Untaps, gets a second card in hand.
Michael Bashir, please report to the event stage.
Syed has some options. If he wants, he can Deep Fiend now without triggering Kozilek's Return, just to tap the blockers, get at the Chandra, and then plan to just outsize the Thought-Knot Seer with the Deep Fiend.
I don't mind that.
The Chandra does become a problem. It's at 6 loyalty. It does ultimate at 7.
Looks like Haunted Dead was the draw from Syed. He's going to attack. Let's see. Oh, this is neat. Let's see. Both amalgams and a Spirit. Job going to block. Not to one of the amalgams. Great. Looks like Kenra might block the other.
He's already got 5 lands on the battlefield. 1 more and he can eternalize Kenra.
Yeah, all the attacks are at Chandra. I suppose the first Kenra was exiled, so Johnathan does not have one in the yard. So yeah, Chandra down to 5. 1 Kenra dies, 1 amalgam dies. See what Zan's up to. And he'll just pass. Elder Deep Fiend's in hand. Both players know about that one. Zan says, I have effects on upkeep. Haunted Dead will emerge to make Elder Deep Fiend. It's going to tap down Thought-Knot Seer and some lands.
Checks out. Might just be 4 lands with this on the battlefield.
And then you use a Kozilek's Return?
You're right. Now that you already threw all those creatures in the graveyard.
I could see that. Yeah, all the red sources. 3. Yeah. That leaves him just with Dune of the Dead. Not Dawn of... Dunes of the Dead.
Won't be casting anything on that one.
Johnathan might actually, in response, we'll see if he uses the Ramanap Ruins in response to sacrifice the Dune of the Dead. That's probably the Kozilek's Return. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense because of Kozilek's Return. So then use a return, kills the Thought-Knot Seer, Zan draws a card. Now Johnathan will get his turn. He's gonna now, he floated the mana. Yeah, that doesn't actually work.
That's a tap ability on the Ruins itself.
Yeah, so that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Zan would have had to have left the Ramanap Ruins untapped for Job to make that play.
Right.
And now the Deep Fiend is in play. Still on Jonathan's upkeep, he will draw. And by leaving that colorless land up, Syed doesn't have to worry about something like Magma Spray combining with Chandra.
Right. And all Joe will be able to do is plus the Chandra. Maybe he found a 2 or 3 mana creature that he can cast using the plus for mana.
Carries Zev, the draw from Job. Uses Chandra to make red mana, casts the Skyship Raider, and says go. Zan discarding to get back Haunted Dead during main phase. Actually discarded, it looks like another Deep Fiend. Here, our prized amalgam's back.
Yeah, was able to activate Haunted Dead by virtue of having drawn the card off of that Thought Knot Seer.
Oh yeah, that's where I was gonna say that's where the second one came from. Good thinking here from Syed. So some swingbacks. Job at 19. See where Zan wants to send the attackers.
If you are still looking for your seats, please raise your hand so I know that you're there.
Chandran's 6 loyalty is still a significant problem.
Yeah.
Zan does have enough power. He applies very significant pressure to Job's life total, but he's not so far ahead that I think you necessarily want to ignore the Planeswalker.
Yeah, so what Zan is going to do is send those bottom 4 creatures at Chandra, which means even if Johnathan blocks one of them, Chandra takes 6. The Deep Fiend left over, that's going to go at Johnathan.
Checks out.
And he'll take it. So Job to 14, Chandra to the graveyard. Looks like maybe some more plays from Zan. He did draw a card this turn.
It's unclear what Job's outs are from this point. If you count up Zan's power here, he has up to 14.
Vessel of Nascency, he'll use it main phase. Puts another return into the yard. And gets his choice of lands.
On the other side of things, Karizev plus Ragavan that attacks for 3. Job at most can add a Reality Smasher to that. That's only 8. That's not enough in the face of a lethal crackback. Maybe Smasher hang back to chump block with Karizev could lead to something, though it seems unlikely that Job will be able to convert from here.
Yeah, cannot take spells, so Zan has to leave the Kozilek's Return to go back to Job. Tough spot here for him. The Emerge deck. Well, we've really reached the point of the game where the Emerge deck is, I guess, going off.
It's already gone off.
Yeah.
It's done its thing. And if anything happens to deal with those private amalgams, the Haunted Dead, that all just comes back.
On-crop Crasher from Johnathan. Swings for 6. Syed down to 5. Got to be careful about these life totals here. Remember, there still is that Ramanap Ruins in play for Job.
Well, Job's dead on board if Zan just attacks with everybody. So he's making this attack hoping that Zan doesn't Alpha Strike.
Yeah, I guess it is 14 exactly.
Yeah. Job's playing to his outs. Maybe Zan just misses it, but he turned all his creatures sideways last turn. I see no reason why that would be different now.
Yeah, it adds up to 14. And can confirm what John is at 14.
It's like Zan's considering doing otherwise.
Is there any cards in Job's hand? I guess if he has
All
cards,
right,
yeah. Here's
there
a swing.
we
That's
go.
14. Yeah. Zan takes game 1.
Yeah, Job was empty-handed.
So I was like, either missing something or it's.
Somebody's missing something.
It's hard to bluff with no cards in hand.
It's very difficult.
All right, so game 1. Goats number 4 seed. 4-color Emerge for Zan Syed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboards. On Zan's side, a big win that he won game 1, especially when you're playing against a deck like Mono Red. Game 1 can be one of the tougher ones. And I think looking at sideboard, things are going to get a lot better. 4 copies of Fatal Push, 2 Lilianas, 2 Tireless Trackers, 2 Bantu's Last Reckoning. That's the 3-mana sweeper that stops your untap. And 2 negates, a Never to Return, a Distended Mindbender, and a Mango Horn.
Fatal Push seemed pretty excellent here. You want to keep Job from getting off the ground when he has these 1 and 2 drop starts. The Fatal Push can help you keep into that game. Bantu's Last Reckoning this card's, you can get really punished against a deck like Job's because he has so much haste stuff at the top of the curve. You can clean up a lot of mana worth of creatures, but I'm not convinced of this card in this matchup. Never to return, solid enough. It can answer a creature related at any point on the curve. That seems solid. And Distended Mindbender, because Job's deck goes from 1 to 5, will frequently be able to get 2 cards. It's generally for control decks, but it does play here.
Yeah, some removal there. On Job's side, we've seen him go big out of the sideboard a lot. Hanvir Garrison, Sweltering Suns, Abrade. He also has extra copies of all the other cards in his deck. Glorybringer, Incendiary Flow. See all the list of one-ups, these are cards already in his deck. So you can just really switch which ones he's playing. I actually don't know that I want him to go big in this matchup. Normally I've seen him do it and I've liked that out of the deck. I don't think Reality Smasher and Thought-Knot Seer are particularly good here though.
It's a little tough to manage because you do know that Zan's bringing in those 4 Fatal Push. You're right, though. If you go slow, you just get eaten by Kozilek's return. So you probably do want to be beat down. Incendiary Flow is generally good in this kind of matchups. If you're small, it's a good form of reach. Otherwise, you can exile these sticky creatures, which can come up. Because it's Prized Amalgam and not Scrap Heap Scrounger, Magma Spray is not especially good here.
Yeah, it could hit. I guess there are Grim Flayers in Zan's list.
There's Flayers, there's Haunted Dead, though frequently by the time Haunted Dead's on the battlefield, it's a little late.
Yeah, do you care about Champion of Wits? That's a great Magma Spray target.
I don't think this is the matchup where Zan will be eternalizing that.
Yeah, so killing it, it doesn't matter that it's an exile, it's just a shock.
Right.
Fair enough. All right, they're going to get ready for a second game as they still decide their sideboard plans. So over at StarCGames.com, we have our weekly sale, and it is running out for this week. We've had Vintage and Legacy cards, 15% off top ones, on sale at the store all week here. So you can still head on over to the store and check out some of those deals. I'm sure to stop by tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. We start next week's weekly sale.
Get yourself some Legacy staples at a discount. Come out to the Team Open next weekend, where it will be Standard, Modern, and Legacy.
Players do get access to deck lists during a top 8, so that can change some of the sideboarding plans. What I'm looking at Zan's deck, what I'm really interested in, he has enough sideboard cards, 4 Fatal Push, 2 Lilianas, 2 Bontus. Okay, with a deck that's so, I guess, graveyard-centric like this, where do you find room for that many cards? I feel like you'd have to change your strategy at a certain point.
Frequently you see players just kind of trimming things, and sometimes you decide that one of your enablers is just the worst one in your deck. We have to ask Zan, how has strategic planning been playing this weekend? If that one's not very good, maybe you just board it out every time. And
you have to be careful, right? Because if you have your 4 Vessels, 3 Grapples, and 2 Strategic Plannings, you can't cut, that's 9 cards. You can't cut 6, right? Your deck stops working.
This is a matchup where you want to probably end up doing a decent amount of blocking. Like Grimflayer is relatively close to a 2-mana removal spell, so you want to maintain that. And you'll be able to play games where that can connect as well.
Yeah, just a 4/4 can be your win condition.
Right.
You don't need these fancy win conditions. I don't think you can cut on Deep Fiends or anything. That's just how the deck works. But I guess maybe some cards like, can we look at trimming on Champion of Wits, Strategic Planning, maybe even Haunted Dead?
It's tough because you do usually want to find that first Haunted Dead pretty badly.
Yeah. Without Haunted Dead, Prized Amalgam's not really a card in this matchup.
Right. And his control elements, and because it's just spot removal, it's not adding more sweepers. These aren't high impact enough to get rid of his really meaty things. So like you were saying, it doesn't make sense to go low on Elder Deep Fiend. Maybe you can shave one. You can't get Prized Amalgam out of the deck in addition to Haunted Dead and do weird things. You're really probably just looking at trimming and cutting your worst enablers. It can be difficult to find time to cast and activate Vessel of Nascency in a matchup like this.
Okay. Looking over here, some results from around the table. Michael Hamilton, your 4-color control player on our backup match, he wins game 1 over Adam Bowman.
His deck certainly has a good amount of play there.
Yeah, Bowman on mono black zombies. We were kind of talking about it, how Hamilton's deck with so many 1s and 2s, a different deck shows up to each game. Some of his decks are very good against zombies.
Yes, absolutely.
If he can draw them 2 out of 3 games, should be good.
And he does get better in the sideboard games. He can go heavier on the stuff that matters.
Other result we have in the 3 versus 6 matchup. Black-green energy piloted by Steven Dykman, 6th seed, takes game 1 over Ben Weinberg. Ben, one of the 2 blue-white monument players.
Possible that Dykman had Liliana the Last Hope going for him there. Maybe we had one of those non-monument games. We've seen that that card is so important to the blue-white monument strategy.
Yeah, we have seen them win without it, but it's hard, right? When you're without it, your deck is a lot of it's Hanvir Militia Captains and Bygone Bishops. It's not exactly impressive.
Right.
Last result, and this is, I think, the biggest one. Our 1 seed, Johnathan Rossum, down a game in game 1 here. It is Jason Morgan's Teamer Energy deck taking the first game. John Rossum has not lost a match yet all tournament.
Morgan definitely has a lot of good tools. Individually, his spells are just of a higher power level on average.
Sure.
His deck is not especially synergistic. You could call playing a bunch of cards that generate and care about energy synergy, but a little bit of a loose definition.
Yeah, so that will be a neat one between the players. As we're about to get ready for game number 2 here. This time we'll have Johnathan Job on the play. You'd figure in game 1, if Job had gotten the small end of his deck, more attackers, not just Kenra there, but if it was Gorger into Kenra, that was his opportunity.
Yes. Zan was able to get red mana early, though it wasn't a matter of an early Kozilek's return. He was able to just get to the late game pretty freely and just kind of execute his big spells. Though in these post-sideboard games, Fatal Push changes things a lot.
And Zan actually did have that start covered too. He discarded a Kozilek's return to an early Haunted Dead, figuring he didn't need one.
Right.
So maybe an early Blitz from Johnathan wouldn't have worked any better.
Yeah, because Zan had that turn 1 Evolving Wilds to find the mountain.
That's going to be the first thing we check. Can Zan find red mana early?
Yep.
Well, we have it's game number 2 for both players. Split card here from Zan. Looks like Never to Return has come in out of the sideboard along with a Fatal Push in his opener. He's ready to kill some creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan's ready to cast some. And let's do this. Turn 1, Johnathan, Falconwrath Gorger. He has not moved away from the aggro plan.
Push it.
Yeah, how if Zan's mana works out, it's going to be great. He does have turn 1 Blooming Marsh. He has a Fatal Push. I don't understand why it's, okay, Fatal Push it. I guess he could on turn 2 Kenra, then you'd push still the Gorger, but maybe there was some other reason. Mountain Go, no 2-drop from Job. Another card from Hour of Devastation in Zan's hand. Bantu's Last Reckoning. And that's a neat one. It's in his hand. This is the cheapest sweeper we've seen, but it comes at a big cost.
Or it's the most expensive sweeper we've seen.
Right.
Don't get to untap your lands the turn after you cast this one.
For Job, On-Crop Crasher. Could actually get hit by a Fatal Push if Syed has a second one. He played an Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, that's a combo.
Yeah,
usually you only get to do that in Modern.
Syed down to 17. Our 1 versus 8 matchup, we have an update. The number 1 seed, Johnathan Rossum, not going to get 2-0'd. He's evened it up at 1 game apiece.
That was fast. All right.
Blue-white's great. Jonathan's great. They're
You're
going
right.
to get a 3rd game. That match, the winner of this game will face the winner of that. We do have Champion of Wills from Zan on the untap. Fixes some mana as well. Got a basic Swamp that unlocks his Never to Return and his Bantu's Last Reckoning. What it doesn't unlock with the Botanical Sanctum is the Kozilek's Return he just drew.
Easy discard.
Well, wait, I think there's a Traverse in his hand.
No.
This is
Easy
discard. Okay, he's going to discard it. Discard a Hissing... Is that Hissing Quagmire?
It is.
You're not going to activate a creature land. That's ridiculous. It's a one-of. Okay.
Show me some other green-black dual lands.
No, that's... Just play Foul Orchard. Make a point. Say, I don't have time for this. For Job, 4-drop. Thought Not Seer is going to look at Zan's hand.
Uh-oh.
Never to Return and Bantu's Last Reckoning, though. Can't take them both with Thought Not.
I would be pretty inclined to take Never to Return. That does some business out of the graveyard. So you exile it. It also costs 3 mana and not 6 or 7.
Because Bantu's is a bad card. Just don't take it.
Yeah, I generally take good cards with my targeted discard spells.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you take Elder Deep Fiend. Zan can emerge off that champion next turn with Kozilek's Return in the yard.
That is true.
Actually, he just has to take that, right? If he doesn't, it's...
As long as he doesn't take Bantu's Last Reckoning, I'm pretty happy. But yeah.
He has to take Deep Fiend.
Yeah,
Otherwise, he loses everything.
Yeah, losing everything is not ideal.
All the creatures will die. He'll get all his lands tapped.
And yeah, it's not a good exchange to just get Nevered on the following turn, but getting Deep Fiended out of the game is obviously much worse.
And he's thinking about it. It's got to be Deep Fiend. He's got the second blue in that island.
In Job's deck, he doesn't play cards that kill Elder Deep Fiend. In fact, all of his creatures are smaller than it as well.
All of them. Yeah, Well, he's still thinking about it.
Maybe he's just kind of pondering, can I win this game if I take Elder Deep Fiend?
Yeah,
even?
it's more like he's trying to think how he's going to win, and the answer is it's going to be really hard.
Yes.
That said, this decision is not hard. The best card is Deep Fiend. But you're right, yeah, can you beat Never Turn plus Bantu's? It's not good.
I think that Bantu's that's pretty beatable.
Because it's bad. It's going to win him the game, though.
But yeah, just the Never to Return on the following turn is pretty bad news for Joe. But yeah, like we've been saying, the Deep Fiend is so much worse.
Maybe. He's thinking about taking Never to Return. Okay, show us what... He's going to take the split card. Okay. I don't get it. We're going to see it happen now.
Yeah, Zan has Island in his hand. He casts a blue spell. He's got to have double blue. He can emerge Deep Fiend.
Okay. Well, here comes On-Crop Crasher. Zan is definitely not blocking. Goes to 14. And Job must know he's going to emerge. No, I think he missed it. Job he exerted here.
Yeah.
So if Job...
You want that block.
If Job knew that Zan could emerge this turn, he wouldn't exert. He'd just swing, right?
Yeah, there's something that's not adding up here. Yeah, it's looking a lot like he missed it.
I mean, for Zan, it's like, yeah, say go, upkeep, tap all your lands, kill all your things, make a 5/6, draw a card.
I suppose it doesn't matter if you exert if all your creatures are getting blown up anyway.
Yeah, is he trying to bait him into it? Is there an answer Job could have that he wants this to happen? We'll find out. Here's Elder Deep Fiend. Yeah, emerge. Tap your lands, kill your guys.
Huh.
All right, that happens. I mean, it might be if Never Turns so hard. At least this way, there's no more Kozilek's Return in the yard.
That's true.
Like, and maybe he's thinking, hey, these are both so bad. At least this way, I get your return. I can rebuild.
Sure. Maybe he has a few low mana critters we can set up on the following turn.
Yeah, right. Because this way, with Job taking the Never to Return and forcing Zan to make this play, the rest of Zan's hand's pretty bad. He doesn't have any more tools.
Yes, so he has the biggest creature in the matchup, so can't imagine he's going to be casting Bantu's Last Reckoning anytime soon.
But all Job has to beat is the 5/6 now. You know, what's Zan's hand? Traverse 3 lands Bantu?
And creature land instant, still no Delirium for that Traverse.
Yeah, if you Bantu's first, you can do it and then not
destroy his Elder Deep Fiend, put Sorcery in the graveyard.
Hey. It's a play. Swings for 5.
That is a play.
When Zan gets up to 7 lands, though, that Champion of Wills is online. So maybe being land heavy is just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, your lands won't untap for a turn because of Bantu. That'll be fine. Well, you can discard Bantu's Last Reckoning.
Yeah.
The nice part about playing new cards is when they turn out to not be good, you can just discard them in this deck. Eldrazi Obligator. Okay.
Ooh.
No, mate.
Okay.
Let's give Johnathan a little more credit here. Maybe this is exactly what he wanted. Eldrazi Obligator is going to swing for 8. Zan's down to 5. If Job has another Obligator in hand, this is going to be masterful on his side.
Yeah, and Zan's got nothing going on.
Yeah. So he wanted the Deep Fiend. Oh, this is nice.
That's wild.
Kozilek's return the draw for Syed. No red mana. He could cast the Last Reckoning here, but
No.
then...
Maybe.
Maybe. How worried are you right now if you're in Zan's spot?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Well, because if you don't cast the Reckoning, you're dead to another Obligator. If you do, you're dead to a Reality Smasher.
Yeah. Zan's going to traverse. Okay, so he's going to use his traverse, I think, to get a basic mountain.
Okay.
Sure. And you have to watch out for a burn. Look at Johnathan Job's board. He has a Sunscorched Desert and a Ramunap Ruins in play, and Zan's at 5. Yeah,
and only 2 copies of Eldrazi Obligator in Job's deck.
I mean, when Job took the Never to Return,
He
the
must have had
Obligator
it already.
yeah, it was in
He
his
must have
hand.
had it already.
This is what he wanted. This is neat. It looks like when your opponent takes the Never to Return there, you have to think my opponent's either really knows what he's doing or doesn't know what he's doing. Like that Exert attack is either a mistake or it's a really hard sell on a bluff.
Yeah. This game has been wild.
Job's going to swing Obligator. I mean, Zan has to block. He will. It's okay. And this is a pretty big one here. All right, so the exchanges, we have a attempt at +4/+0 and trample from Johnathan Job. And it's going to be the card Invigorated Rampage. In response, though, Zan Syed plays Kozilek's Return, sweeps away the 3/1.
And Job isn't in our lands. We still can activate a Ramunap Ruins here.
Yep. So Zan swings Job down to 10. 7th land, he's going to bring back Champion of Wits. It's Eternal, so draws 4. It's a 4/4. He'll draw 4 and discard 2, but he's tapped out. Draws Champion, land, Haunted Dead, Prized Amalgam. Can discard 2 Prized Amalgams if he'd like.
That's pretty nice.
It's nice. I guess you probably want to get Haunted Dead in there first.
Amalgam Dead seems good. Then you can discard Amalgam, Bantu's Last Reckoning to get back Haunted Dead.
All right, end step. Joe puts him to 3, sacrifices a desert. How should just draw another Sunscorched Desert, send this to a game 3. Let's do it. He does not have matrons for this. On-crop Crashers, the play.
Wow,
off the top,
right.
Exert, no blocks, going to 3. There's the Exerted tag in there. Johnathan Job is going to take the second game with mono red.
Really impressive stuff there. That Eldrazi Obligator card is nice.
Yeah. All right. Starting to believe here.
Maybe you should up the count on that one. Yeah, that looked really good.
Yeah. I think we both here underestimated the damage output of the mono red deck.
Oh, yeah.
All right, our first result is in number 6 seed Steven Dykman playing Black Green Energy. He is a 2-0 winner over Ben Weinberg and advances to the semifinals.
Yeah, I guess he made quick work of the Blue-White Monument deck.
Yeah, I mean, and with Rossum going to game 3, it's unclear whether they're going to have any Blue-White Monument left after this round. This one going to 3 as well. Zan's going to be back on the play. So looking at the sideboard, it looks like Zan is boarded in. Never to Return, Bantu's Last Reckoning, Fatal Push. I'm not sure anything else. After that game, whew, I don't know if Zan can play around Eldrazi Obligator that well. His deck kind of just does what it does. It makes Deep Fiends.
Yeah. Yeah, without Deep Fiends, then He goes from having the largest creature in the matchup to having creatures that are relatively easily outsized.
Gonna relook at side, but you see Zan. Thought he had that one. Now thinking harder.
I would glue
yeah.
the Bantu's Last Reckonings to my deck box so I couldn't actually physically remove them.
And that card seems terrible. There's a whole cycle of these cards. I don't know. I don't want to play any of them. That drawback stinks.
Agree. The green one's really good and limited.
Yeah, I mean, on turn 2 it's great. You get a 5/4. So what if it has Echo? It's like an albino troll, but bigger.
Right.
That's gonna make me sound real old to say that one. Go. It's on Gatherer.
Yeah. You can Google this.
All right. Players need to get ready for this game. StarCityGames.com Game Night. Now in its second year, it's exclusive pins and tokens given away as prizes at local tournaments all around the country. So in July, the token we've been giving away is the Goose of St. Traft. We started that last week. We'll be giving it away at stores all throughout the month. Go ahead and win one of those at your local game store. Next month, the prize will be the Puggernaut, the 3/6/6 artifact creature beast. A lot like a Juggernaut, also a lot like a dog. That's given away during August. And if you get signed up now, we can actually sign up a store in time to get the September promo, which is going to be our skunk promo, the Smell Snare, the 1/1 blue wizard. So you can get signed up as a store or find a location near you at starcitygames.com/game night.
So this is the first time I noticed that the Smell Snare is a wizard.
Yeah, it's well, see, there's some creature in the bottom right.
It's using that stink magic.
Yeah, he's holding back. He's snaring the skunk. He's catching it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not the skunk. It's the like dog wizard in the bottom right. That's the wizard.
This is a really deep piece.
Yeah, the dog in the right corner is the wizard. He's catching the skunk. And
Good job.
The dog's a 1/1.
Good job, doggo.
I mean, yeah, the dog would catch the skunk, and then it would like come bring it to you. That's the problem.
And it would smell bad.
Yeah, you'd be like, here, I caught this for you. Have it. It's like, thanks, dog.
Would not be contained.
The dog would be so happy to bring you the skunk, though. Like, I did real well. I did real well. Here's the skunk. Zan will be back on the play. One thing that has happened has been true of both the games so far. Johnathan has not gotten off the ground as fast as I would have thought his deck would. You saw that game, Zan stabilized at a good 15. Mm-hmm. He swept the board on 15 life and then lost. And maybe Johnathan can win again from there.
Yeah, Zan had the turn 1 fatal push for the Falkenrath Gorger from Job. Job's deck, this is what we've seen. He's got reach in the lands, he's got haste creatures, he's got a lot of stuff at 3, 4, and 5.
Did need some help at the end, had to top deck On-Crop Crasher. You mentioned On-Crop Crasher, or Incendiary Flow, or Sun-Scorched Desert would have done it.
He wasn't dead on the crackback. He would have been at 1.
So he had 2 draws to work with. Maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
So if he has 2 draws, then just Ramanap Ruins into Ramanap Ruins does it, which he had.
Give me a minute to philosophy of fire this deck list. Let's see what the average damage output is. He had a Ruins plus a Desert on the battlefield, so he could have just activated that twice.
Yeah. If Zan couldn't close in 1 turn, that was going to be pretty hard.
Yeah.
Life gain in Zan's deck. There's none. None. All right.
Well,
that makes it easier.
4 colors. None of them are white.
Sometimes green gains life.
That is true.
Not these ones, though. No Gift of Paradise to fix his mana. It's a card of the new set. You gain 8.
I'm trying to think of the name of that card.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to play that one.
Some optimistic nonsense. That's what the card is called.
It's like called Bolus lets you live a little longer.
See tomorrow or something. I don't know.
Grow a tree. Game 3 here for Zan and Johnathan Job. Zan's teammate, see behind him there, John Rossum, also on Game 3, a long one with him and Jason Morgan.
And Evolving Wilds on turn 1 for Zan. Let's see if Job can put the pressure up. Just ramming out runes on the turn 1. With that one being the first land, it's possible Job will be taking some damage from his mana base. Or maybe just waiting to play a mountain until he actually needs that red mana. Remember that the ruins only makes red if you lose 1 life.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's pain land.
Yes.
Right? Makes colorless pain land, but instead of being a dual land, it's just a pain land for red.
Yeah, it's like a Barbarian Ring.
If Barbarian Ring could tap for colorless without dealing me damage, I would like it a lot.
People would play 4 of that in Burn and Legacy for sure.
Zan getting a basic swamp with his first land here. And Blooming Marsh, a pass. That would have been good Grim Flayer mana. Doesn't have the Flayer here. I'm interested that he's actually Evolving Wilds for a swamp when he already had Blooming Marsh in hand. Not getting... So he needing double black. Maybe we're looking at Liliana, Bantu's Last Reckoning, something like that. Falconwrath Gorger, the draw for Job as he plays the Sunscorched Desert. Zan will grapple. Puts 1 Kozilek's Return in the yard and 2 more lands. So we'll get his choice of lands, but more importantly, Kozilek's Returns in the yard.
Botanical Sanctum, clearly better than Blooming Marsh when you already have a marsh and a swamp.
Yeah, don't need a 3rd black mana. He'll take the first blue instead. Vessel of Nascency, the draw. So here's Botanical Sanctum, 3 mana. Looks like we're going to see Champion of Wits. Draw 2, discard 2. Draws a 2nd Vessel, draws another Champion. Ryan, I really like this card.
Big fan.
Yeah.
In contention for one of the best cards in the set. It's really done so much to kind of hold together, really improve a lot of these graveyard shenanigan decks.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing it play outside of graveyard decks. Like if this card's just powerful enough, you know.
Just put this in your blue-red control deck.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to start being like that. I mean, sure, it's card disadvantage when you first play it, kind of. You get a 2-1.
Yeah, if you don't count a 2-1 as a card, certainly.
But I mean, when you internalize it, it draws. It's divination on a guy. It's better than a Mull Drifter. Draw 4, discard 2, that is. Magma Spray from Johnathan. Get that guy out of here. Swing in for 2 with Gorger. Some mana woes here for Job. Look at his lands. 3 deserts. It's the ruins and then 2 of his 5 colorless lands.
Yeah, things not shaping up great in the mana department.
And Zan's hand, land 4.
Meanwhile, the 4-color deck's really humming.
Maybe the lands are fine. Oh, just double black? No, it is not. I was going to say, if it's Liliana the Last Hope, that would be great.
Yeah.
Champion again from Zan. Draws a Traverse the Ulfenvault and a Haunted Dead. His graveyard currently has enchantment, instant, land. He actually has 1 off Delirium.
Looks like he's planning on discarding a Haunted Dead, though. That'll get him set up.
And that will give him Delirium, so his Traverse can find whatever he'd like.
Haunted Dead and Vessel of Nascency being discarded. Wonder if it's time to find a Deep Fiend. Here's Traverse. That's usually the card that you find.
Yeah, we mentioned that with the Emerge decks. Traverse is just...
Ooh.
I was
Fine surprise
going to say copies of Deep Fiend 5 through 8, but Zan showing us that's not happening right now.
This makes his Haunted Dead better. Also, you don't want to get beat up by an Eldrazi Obligator again.
Yeah, in this matchup, it might not be about Deep Fiending and Kozilek's Returning. If you can just make enough Haunted Deads and Prized Amalgams, that's enough to beat the mono red deck.
Sure.
You don't,
You do run the risk of getting beat up by a Glory Bringer and some reach.
Right.
Though Job not really presenting ways to cast anything along those lines just yet.
Second match result in. Zombies eliminated from the tournament. It is the number 2 seed, Michael Hamilton, the 4-color control player. In 3, manages to defeat Zombies. He'll move on to the semis.
Yeah, drew the right half of his deck twice, and that's what you need.
Well, deck with so many 1-ofs also, you have to figure uses its sideboard very well.
Has really good card selection spells in the deck as well.
Yeah, well, when you have a bunch of one-ofs, you always, you get to board out the bad ones for the next games.
Right.
Gorger will swing. It looks like Job offers a trade with the champion. This is interesting. We'll see if Zan takes it.
Yeah, it looks like he did.
I was going to say, you don't want to give away free damage, but these cards are so valuable as emerged cards.
There's a Sun-Scorched Desert for the 4th land. Still only one red
Only
mana.
one red. Yeah, he does have Thought Knot Seer. So the Desert puts Zan down to 14. Maybe he doesn't need any more than one red. Yeah, let's go Thought Knot Seer. Let's take a look at Zan's hand. Grapple with the Past, Prized Amalgam, Distended Mindbender, and Elder Deep Fiend. So 2 cards that can emerge and get back Kozilek's Return. That's not what Johnathan wanted to see, especially not Mindbender. Yeah, he's going to read that. I don't know what cards are left in his hand. He'll know how good this is against him.
Right. I assume it's taking 2 here.
If it's taking 2 cards, because Johnathan has 4, he's got to take that, right? If it's like Glorybringer, Incendiary Flow, like you can't let him do that.
Job really wants to take 3 of these cards. The Mindbender messes up his hand. The Prized Amalgam makes the Haunted Dead in Zan's graveyard really good. And Elder Deep Fiend just, Plague Winds him, taps him out. The Mindbender does seem to be the best option, though.
As long as it double hits. I mean, a Mindbender that gets back Kozilek's Return, kills 2 guys, and makes Zan draw a card is like a 5-for-1.
It's a good amount of value.
It is. I mean, it's so hard to leave a Deep Fiend, but God, can you beat Distended Mindbender? That one came out of the sideboard of Zan's deck. It's a 1-of in the board. It's the 5th Eldrazi in his deck. Only plays 5. It's 4 Deep Fiends and 1 Mindbender.
Yeah, in the main deck, and when the deck is executing, you really generally want Deep Fiend, though he's in matchups where your opponent has a good mix of cheap and expensive spells. More commonly control decks, but it plays here. Generates a lot of value.
Well, despite an early scare, our undefeated player, Johnathan Rossum, remains undefeated. 2-1. With White-Blue Monument, he is on to the semifinals, and he'll be facing the winner of this match.
Still can't be beat. And Job goes for the Prized Amalgam. Seems to believe he can beat Distended Mindbender.
We've seen this before. Eldrazi Obligator was the punchline. But there's a Distended Mindbender this time, and thus Job's hand's like 3 Obligators.
Yeah.
And then in case he's got him good.
Distended Mindbender tends to ruin the joke.
And Zan, you see he's so much more cautious this time. Just
do you want me to do this?
Last time, fool me once.
I don't know what can go wrong. I'm going to make this play. Maybe you'll teach me a lesson, but this looks real good to me.
Kill your things, take cards from your hand. Hazaret, On-Crop Crasher, Glorybringer, Incendiary Flow. So he can take Hazaret or Glorybringer. He can take Crasher or Flow. He's going to have to read Hazaret the Fervent. We're going to do the same.
Crasher Hazaret looks like a good mix. Job needs to draw a 5th land, has to tap for red mana to cast Glorybringer, and the Distended Mindbender outsizes it.
Yeah, because it's going to take so many cards from Jonathan's hand, I'm not really keen on giving Johnathan this Hazaret.
Yes.
That means Johnathan gets to keep Glorybringer. And I guess, would you rather try to beat Glorybringer Crasher or Glorybringer Flow?
Glorybringer Flow seems more beatable.
Yeah.
Good chance that before the game ends, Zan will cast some creature that can get hit by the Flow. The Crasher is likely to is more likely to be able to convert for more than 3 meaningful damage.
And Zan looks like he's made the same grouping of the cards. He will take Hazaret and On-Crop Crasher. Those will be the discarded, so agreeing here that he's going to have to beat Incendiary Flow plus Glorybringer.
Job's really looking for a mountain here.
Yeah. We saw this before. Zan was at 15 last game, then lost post Kozilek's Return. Can Job do it again?
And even with that, Zan still has Elder Deep Fiend to swing the tempo back in his favor pretty easily.
Hanvir Garrison, the draw from Job, and he will cast it. Goes to 17 to do so. And back to Zan. Still has that Elder Deep Fiend in hand that we know about.
And Zan has the mana to activate Haunted Dead from the graveyard and Deep Fiend on this turn here.
That's pretty nice. Here's a swing for 5 from Distended Mindbender. Job will go to 12.
Requisite cards in hand as well, which can be the choking point.
Yeah, you do need 3 cards. You need 2 cards and the Deep Fiend to pull that off.
Right.
Job's going to say go on upkeep. That's the play Zan's going to make. Discards 2 cards, brings back Haunted Dead. Now, no Prized Amalgam. Johnathan did take that. So then he'll pay 3. Emerge from the Haunted Dead. Tap some lands, some cards. So it looks like he'll leave Johnathan with 1 Sun-Scorched Desert. Says go. His current board is 11 power, not 12 for Zan. Close to lethal. Johnathan says go. Gonna swing 11, put Johnathan to 1. Shows, hey, I have another Deep Fiend. So that can be good enough. Johnathan extends the hand. It is. Zan Syed, 4-color Emerge, is your winner here in 3. Defeats mono red aggro. He's going to go on to the semifinals where his teammate John Rossum awaits.
And for Job, I really liked a lot of what this mono red aggro deck was doing, but Zan able to take it in 3, and his deck looks really sweet.
Yeah, but what a great second game by Johnathan Job. All those games looked very tough for him, and yeah, he got one of them in the second one, and showed some life in the third.
Yeah, he showed us kind of the range of Eldrazi Obligator this weekend. Earlier in the tournament, casting it and trading with Thraben Inspector immediately. In this game, coming in for 8 damage out of nowhere.
All right, so we're down to 4 players. There's John Rossum, Zan Syed, Stephen Dykeman, and Michael Hamilton. We're going to take a short break for the players and judges, but join us when we come back. We will have the semifinals here of the Cincinnati Open.